Homelander dies very differently in the show and the comics because each version is trying to punish a different version of the same monster. In the show, Homelander's ending is built around taking away the one thing he always confused with being a god, his powers. By the end, he is not just Vought's biggest product anymore. He has become a political ruler, a public tyrant, and the face of a country that has allowed him to turn fear into government. The show takes him out of the corporate tower and places him inside the center of American power because by that point, Homelander is no longer only a superhero problem, he is a national disaster. His image, his followers, his ego, and his violence have all merged into one thing. He is not hiding behind Vought anymore. He is standing in the open, forcing everyone else to live under him. That makes his death in the show much more direct. Kimiko strips him of his powers, and once he is no longer untouchable, Butcher kills him with a crowbar. The detail is brutal because it removes all the mythology around him. Homelander spends the entire story acting like normal people are beneath him. He treats humans like insects, props, fans, toys, or enemies. He only understands power when it is coming from himself. So the show's ending gives him the most humiliating version of death possible. He does not die as a god. He does not die in the sky. He does not die in some grand superhero battle where he still gets to look impressive. He dies as a man. Flesh, bone, fear, and nothing else. The comics end Homelander in a very different way. In the comic book version, Homelander also reaches the White House, but the story takes a darker and stranger turn. Black Noir reveals that he is not just another member of the Seven. He is a clone of Homelander, created by Vought as a secret backup plan in case Homelander ever became impossible to control. This reveal changes the entire meaning of the ending. Homelander believed he was losing his mind because of things he thought he had done, but Black Noir had secretly committed some of the worst acts while disguised as him. He had been pushing Homelander toward insanity because he wanted an excuse to finally kill him. So in the comics, Homelander's ending is not just about a monster being killed. It is about a monster discovering that another monster was built behind him. Vought created Homelander, then created a second Homelander to destroy the first one if he got out of line. But the backup plan was even worse. Black Noir was not justice. He was not accountability. He was not a moral correction. He was another weapon made by the same corrupt system. When Black Noir finally kills Homelander, the moment is ugly, violent, and cynical. It shows that Vought never had a real solution to the problem it created. It only had another problem waiting in the dark. The biggest concrete difference is responsibility. In the show, Homelander dies as himself. There is no clone twist that takes some of the weight away from him. There is no secret double who explains his worst actions. The show's Homelander is fully responsible for what he becomes. He is damaged, raised in a lab, emotionally starved, worshipped by millions, protected by Vought, and rewarded for cruelty. But the final version of him is still his own creation. He chooses control. He chooses fear. He chooses violence. He chooses to become bigger than the law. So when Butcher kills him, the show is ending the man we have been watching the whole time. In the comics, the ending complicates Homelander more. He is still horrible. He is still dangerous. He still becomes a threat to the entire country. But the Black Noir reveal adds a layer of manipulation to his downfall. Some of the horror connected to him was staged by his clone. Some of his madness was pushed along by a person designed specifically to break him. This makes the comic version more nihilistic. It says the truth does not repair anything. By the time Homelander understands what was done to him, he is already too far gone. By the time Butcher understands the full picture, his life has already been destroyed. That is why the show could not copy the comic ending exactly. The television version of Homelander works because the audience watches him rot in real time. We see his insecurity. We see his need for approval. We see how badly he wants love, how quickly love turns into control, and how quickly control turns into violence. The show spends years making him a character, not just a final twist. If the show suddenly revealed that another version of him had secretly done the worst things, it would weaken the clean line it built around him. The show wants Homelander to be pathetic and guilty at the same time. It wants him to be human enough to understand, but monstrous enough to condemn. The show also changed Black Noir too much for the comic ending to work the same way. In the comics, Black Noir exists mainly as the hidden answer to Homelander. His silence, his costume, and his mystery are all building toward the clone reveal. In the show, Black Noir is turned into his own character with his own trauma, his own past, and his own strange sadness. Then the original Noir is killed, and a replacement takes the role. By that point, the show has already moved too far away from the comic version. It cannot suddenly make Black Noir the secret twin of Homelander without breaking the story it already told. Because of that, the show takes the broad shape of the comic ending but changes the engine inside it. The White House, the final collapse, the physical brutality, and the crowbar all echo the comics. But the meaning is different. In the comics, Homelander is destroyed by his mirror. In the show, he is destroyed by the people he spent his life looking down on. Kimiko takes away the power. Butcher ends the body. The world watches the god image fall apart. The show turns Homelander's ending into humiliation before death, because humiliation is the thing he fears more than death itself. That is the real punishment for the show's version of Homelander. Death alone is not enough. If he died with his powers, he could still imagine himself as special. He could still be remembered as a terrifying force. He could still leave behind the image of something above humanity. But once he is depowered, the fantasy dies first. He becomes ordinary. He becomes breakable. He becomes the thing he always hated. Then Butcher killing him with something as crude and human as a crowbar finishes the point. Homelander's entire identity was built on being untouchable, and the show ends him by proving he was never a god. He was only protected. The comic ending is more interested in systems than humiliation. It says Vaught's evil runs deeper than Homelander. Homelander is the face of the disaster, but he is not the whole disaster. Behind him is the company that made him, sold him, hid his crimes, created a clone to kill him, and still failed to control any of it. In that version, Homelander dies inside a machine that was rotten from the beginning. His death does not feel clean because the people who created the nightmare were always thinking in terms of products, weapons, assets, and insurance policies. Even their emergency plan was evil. The show's ending is more personal. It brings the story back to Butcher and Homelander. Their conflict is not just political or corporate. It is built on revenge, grief, obsession, and years of hatred. Butcher has spent the entire series chasing the man who destroyed his life, twisted the future of Ryan, and represented everything he wanted to wipe off the earth. So when Butcher is the one who finally kills Homelander, the show gives the central rivalry a blunt ending. It is not elegant. It is not clever. It is not a secret plan inside another secret plan. It is one broken man ending another broken man. The endings also treat Butcher differently. In the comics, Butcher does not get the simple version of revenge he spent years chasing. Black Noir kills Homelander first, and then Butcher's violence turns toward Black Noir. That makes Butcher's story colder because he learns the target of his hatred was not the full answer. Homelander was guilty, but the worst truth was bigger than him. In the show, Butcher's revenge is cleaner on the surface because he kills the real Homelander himself. But it is still ugly because Butcher does not become pure by doing it. He does not suddenly become a hero. He simply wins the war he let consume him. So the concrete difference is simple. Comic Homelander is killed by Black Noir, a secret clone created by Vought, after learning that his life and madness were partly manipulated by his own duplicate. Show Homelander is stripped of his powers and killed by Butcher after turning himself into a public dictator. One ending is a conspiracy twist about Vaught's corruption. The other is a character payoff about Homelander's ego finally being crushed. One says the system made a monster, then made another monster to stop him. The other says Homelander became the monster in full view of everyone, and once the power was gone, there was nothing divine left to protect him.